Yeah, I'm about to get canned. Are you wondering if your toxic boss is trying to get rid of you? I know a lot of you that watch my channel are great at what you do, and this is not something that you should have to be worried about. But you're in a toxic work environment, and that creates unpredictability and instability. So today I'm covering the 7 signs that you are going to get fired, even if it's totally unfair. Hello, my friends, and if you're new here, welcome. My name is Jennifer Brick, and I am your new career bestie. Around here, we talk about career success, navigating obstacles at work, and toxic work environments. If you are like, yes, I need more of that in my life, tap the subscription button and the notification bell. Also, I post pretty much daily over on LinkedIn as well as on Instagram, so if you want to come hang out with me over there, I will leave those links in the description bar. But enough about me. If you're ready to find out those 7 signs that you are going to maybe get fired, tap that like button and let's jump into it. So the first sign that you're going to get fired is that you have a decrease in your performance review rating, or you are receiving negative feedback from your manager. This, of course, despite the fact that you are a steady performer who is consistently delivering results. Because when you're digging into it, what you're actually finding behind that feedback and behind those performance reviews is a lot of nitpicking. For example, maybe you achieved the KPI, like you hit your sales quota, but they didn't like the way in which you did it. So they're taking issue with that, even though the outcome was the outcome that was necessary. Another thing that arises is that a lot of the negative feedback or the negative performance reviews is based on attitude or fit. Now, of course, if you have an attitude problem or if you're a terrible culture fit for the company overall, those things would be valid. However, the big issue that I take here, and get your tea ready for this rant, is that behind those things is really just saying, you're not like us. And this whole culture fit BS is something that bosses and HR teams are hiding behind in order to discriminate and to make sure that everyone is exactly the same. It's how teams utterly lack diversity, and then they're like, oh, why do I have a diversity problem? Anyways, I could probably make an entire video, so I will cut that one off there for today. But if you want that video, let me know in the comments. Now, in some cases that I have seen and stories that I have heard from people on this point is that they've been doing the exact same thing, getting the exact same results, have no changes in their general relationships with their teams and the people that they work with. However, all of a sudden they're starting to get this negative feedback, despite the fact that they previously got positive feedback for exactly the same things. The second warning sign that you might see that maybe you're gonna get fired is that work that would typically be assigned to you is being assigned to other coworkers. For example, if you are the project manager for a particular client and you've managed multiple projects with them over the span of their life cycle with your company, but all of a sudden on the next project, you're not the one being assigned to it and it's going to one of your coworkers. Or if you're in sales, maybe leads that are in your region and should be yours are being assigned to one of your coworkers, leaving you like, WTF, that should be mine, why am I being left out? And the reason why they might be doing this, and not saying that this always means that you're gonna get fired for any of these signs, FYI, but the reason why this can be a sign that you're about to be fired is because your manager doesn't want to deal with reassigning a whole bunch of work and things in flight when they're not going to have the knowledge behind it. So they begin to redirect work, so it makes transitioning you out of the business a little bit easier on your team who is going to take on the work that you would usually take on. Now, the third sign you're going to get fired, this is a really big one, and this is a big red alarm bell if all of a sudden this starts happening. Your manager starts taking a lot of notes and sending follow-ups after each conversation that you have. Why is this such a big blaring warning sign that you're gonna get fired, you ask? Because they're creating a paper trail, especially in big organizations that are worried about getting sued if they let someone go. The reason why they're keeping records is to go through the formal process that HR is probably making them go through. They can't just walk in and be like, you're fired, at least not in most companies, because they are afraid of lawsuits. Now, if this is the situation, I want you to do 2 things. First of all, make sure you are keeping your own paper trail as well. Make sure you are documenting the things that are happening. Make sure that you're documenting any adverse things not to get too dramatic, that are going to give context to the situation. And hopefully this is not something that is ever going to be needed or escalate, but just in case, do make sure that you're keeping your own records. The other thing is, in those emails where they're, sending the summary of this is what happened and this is what I expect, or if they're trying to convey that you didn't do something that you did, or that something was under standard when you know that you hit the mark or something like that, you can also reply on those messages. Now, this is not for an argument. It's not to debate. It's not to be like, you're wrong, because guess what? They're your boss and that is not up for negotiation. But when you reply, just reply with clarity on the facts. And again, this is going to add to your paper trail. And all you want to do there is to clearly state anything that they have gotten wrong and to document actions that you are taking. It's also a great place to request clarification. The fourth sign that you might get fired at work is an extraordinarily toxic behavior. And that is, they are setting you up to fail. And this shows up in a ton of different ways. First, they're giving you the impossible tasks. Oh, this person has been working on this problem for 2 years. You have a week to solve it. Similarly, they might just be giving you too much work where you know that the capacity is 2x or 3x what anyone else is dealing with and what would be a reasonable workload given the time and importance of the work that you are doing. This can also show up in sabotaging the work that you're doing, such as leaving you out of key meetings on projects that you're working on, or failing to communicate important things that cause you to mess up in the future. And again, I know a lot of these behaviors are very prevalent in toxic work environments, but getting fired from a toxic work environment is also something that happens not infrequently. While it's annoying and unfair when your toxic boss is burying you under a pile of work in order to try to fire you, sometimes when you are being set up to fail, you can actually use this as an opportunity in disguise. Because when they're assigning you to these impossible tasks, what it really is an invitation for you to flex the ways that you stand out and your unique awesomeness quotient, your UAQ. And yeah, maybe it's not going to salvage your job at the place that you're at, and who wants to stay in that toxic work environment anyway? However, you can think of this as ways that you're building your resume and giving you reasons to flex on LinkedIn so that your next opportunity falls into your lap. Now, if that sounds good, you need to make sure that you know what your UAQ is so that you know what you should be focusing on in order to stage yourself for the next step in your career. If you haven't already, download my free UAQ starter kit. The link is in the description. And this actually brings me to the next sign that you might get fired from your job, and that is that relationships that you have at work are starting to become distant. Now, perhaps your boss is becoming distant and unavailable. Maybe you typically have a regular one-on-one, but they're consistently canceling them. Or maybe coworkers that you used to be close with and had lunch with and chatted with all the time are now really starting to distance themselves from you. Or maybe one of those trusted coworkers that you have that maybe you've become friends with tells you about rumors floating around about your future at the company is the hot topic of the office gossip. Most people want to distance themselves from someone who isn't, let's put it this way, falling under the graces of the boss. And if there is suspicion or some semblance that you are going to be exiting the organization unceremoniously, people might want to distance themselves from that. I'm not saying that it's okay. I'm saying that this is sometimes behavior that you can observe. And I know that this can be particularly helpful if you have developed friendships with your coworkers, or if in general you had a better relationship with your boss. And this is one of the reasons why I think that coworkers really, for the most part, are not your friends. But you already know my stance on that. So on that note, let's move into the sixth sign that you might get fired from your job. And this is another big one. And it's that you're placed on a performance improvement plan, also called a PIP for short. Whether or not it's justified, your boss and HR have conspired to put you onto a performance improvement plan. And that performance improvement plan is not one that they're setting you up to succeed with. See point 4. When a performance improvement plan is well constructed and done the way that really they should be, is that it should be getting you the tools and the resources and the focus that you need in order to succeed and to improve your performance. That's why it's called a performance improvement plan. Unfortunately, too many organizations have structured PIPs so that they are a way of coaching people out of the business, and it's one one step away from Cansville. And the way that you can differentiate between this is a PEP that is really structured to help you succeed or one that you're being set up to fail is really looking at the performance improvement plan and assessing how achievable it is. Are they asking the impossible from you, and this is seemingly a formality and an excuse that they're going to use in order to fire you from your job? Or is this something that they're actually investing into you and is going to help you in your career? Because if it's the former, that's a sign that you need to get your ducks in a row and quacking because they are setting you up to fire you. And that brings us to the 7th sign that you are going to get fired from your job. And really, I think that this sign is undervalued and under-indexed because I think that there's a lot to this one. And that sign is trusting your gut. You know when you kind of have a feeling that there's something funny going on? Heck, you might have found this video because you were searching for the signs that you were going to get fired and you just found yourself a career bestie as a bonus. I truly believe that each of us has some element of intuition or just knowing that there's something off because there's conscious or subconscious signs that are being thrown up, or maybe there's these signs and you're like, given the context and what's happening and how I feel, this is the direction that I think that we're heading in. And yeah, sometimes your gut is going to missteer you because sometimes that fear that you're going to get fired or that fear that you're going to lose your job is anxiety or other things that are happening and it's completely unfounded. However, if your gut is telling you that something is wrong and you see some of these signs or all of these signs, you want to make sure that you are prepared. And the most important thing that you can do to be prepared in case you are fired from your job and you do have to activate a job search, and if you're worried that you're about to lose your job, you absolutely should be lining up a plan B right now, today. And that is making sure that you are building confidence. One of the biggest things that happens when someone loses their job, whether they're fired or they are laid off, is that your confidence takes a hit. Trust me, people tell themselves all sorts of stories. I'm never going to find work again. I'm completely unhireable. How am I going to explain this in interviews? And FYI, people get jobs after they get fired all the time. And in fact, even if you've been fired, you just might find yourself in your next opportunity getting paid more, having a better job title, and having more job opportunities. Oh, and hopefully it's not a toxic AF work environment. So if you are nervous that you are going to get fired from your job, what I really want you to focus on is building your confidence. In fact, I want you to go and watch this video right now to help you gain confidence when it's a little bit shaky. But before you go, if this video helped you, do give it a thumbs up. It really helps my channel and it makes you my favorite career bestie. I'm very easy to bribe that way. As always, my friend, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.